welcome back to Green Mountain Mornings on WKVT 100.3 FM and AM 1490. It is 38 degrees outside and 8:20 in the morning. Happy Halloween, everyone, and welcome to my guest in the studio, Harmony Birch from The Reformer. Hi, Harmony. And I also want to thank Nolan from BCTV for being here. Hello, everyone in BCTV land. I am all decked out for Halloween in my little ladybug costume. I hope my wings are straight. But Harmony, I hope you don't mind me sharing this, Harmony, because now I'm going to on live TV, on live radio. Harmony and I were talking about Halloween costumes in the break, and how hard it is to find something like just go off the rack costume for women that's not really heavily sexualized. And I was talking about how yesterday I went to Walmart and I found a sexy Captain America outfit, which I guess they were basing them on the dancers in the first Captain America, First Avenger movie. But really, like, Captain America is fine. I don't need a cute skirt and low cut to be Captain America. Like, really. And even my little ladybug costume that I grabbed off the shelf, the poor model was probably 12, made up to look like she's in her 20s. And yeah, she had the little tutu on and the little, sexy ladybug outfit. And I'm like, I'm happy just being a regular ladybug. Thank you. They're cute enough just because they're ladybugs. So yes, I hope everyone's having an okay time finding Halloween costumes today. And if you want to dress up any way you want to, I totally support that. But it can be a little frustrating when you're looking for just a basic costume. So thank you so much, Harmony. Welcome.
Thank you. Yes. It is really crazy how
Yeah, and when even like as you were pointing out, child's book story characters.
yeah, characters like childhood characters. There's a sexy 11 costume from Stranger Things, which I'm sure you all binge watched this weekend, and things like that. It just kind of drive me a little bit crazy.
Yeah, because 11 is 11 for a very specific reason. She's a kid.
Exactly.
So what are we talking about with bringing it back to local news? What are some of the things on your plate as a woman on the beat with her finger to the pulse of Brattleboro?
Right. So, the police department, the Brattleboro Police Department, recently, last week, I believe, issued a statement about similar sexual assaults that I just kind of find strange. I mean, sexual assault is always kind of strange. But these sexual assaults are strange, and there's been 2 of them within the past few months because somebody is physically going into women's homes. It's somebody that does not know the woman and sexually assaulting them. And they're not burglarizing them or doing any other sorts of crimes. So that's kind of something to be on the lookout for. And I got to talk to Mark Kerrigan about it, Captain Mark Kerrigan from the Brattleboro Police Department. And I talked a little bit to the Women's Freedom Center about why this sort of thing happens and how we can stop this sort of thing. And I don't know, it's a little bit scary being a woman sometimes and thinking that you could be in your house and somebody could just walk right in.
Yeah, a place that's supposed to be your sanctuary.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So,
and what were some of the things from either advice from Captain Kerrigan or comments from the Women's Freedom Center about why these events tend to happen?
right. So Captain Kerrigan's first, why these events tend to happen is a little bit different than like staying safe exactly. And Captain Kerrigan didn't really talk about why these things happen because sexual assault is really common. This type of sexual assault isn't that common, where it's happening by a stranger and it's happening completely kind of randomly, I guess, and in someone's home, like without somebody being let in.
Right.
But why, like, sexual assault is really common, and Brattleboro is no exception to that. We have similar statistics according to the Women's Freedom Center, but it's a little bit hard to take those statistics. And talking to Sherry from the Women's Freedom Center, her whole thing is this is, something it's all stuff we've already heard, but, we live in a patriarchal society where people don't value women enough, and these things happen because we're not talking about it enough, and because people aren't being taught how to value women properly. In terms of safety tips, locking your doors was something they both recommended for both your car and your house. But it's hard because there's really not, like, what else can you do? There are certain safety measures that you can take for yourself if you want to get, like, a home alarm security system. And another thing both of them kind of emphasized was communities kind of keeping an eye out if you see unusual behavior. So if you see somebody strange or somebody, like, watching someone's house, call somebody. If you are sexually assaulted, Sherry from the Women's Freedom Center had a lot of recommendations about that, whether it's something that happened recently or if it happened years ago. And she really recommended that victims kind of take their treatment for that into their own hands, whether or not they want to go pursue legal action, how they can get medical attention without pursuing legal action. And she recommended calling the Women's Freedom Center to talk, but she really emphasized that it was really the victim's choice and how they should feel in control of whatever they decide to do next.
Thank you for that, Harmony. And how interesting it is. We started talking about Halloween costumes just as a total different aside. And yet, how many aspects of women's lives come back to this issue around sexuality and safety and choice. And yeah, just something for folks to think about on this Halloween as we're going out and about and having fun. And yet, for some people, their minds are not on having fun, or their minds are not on keeping women safe. Uh, so it sounds like, if I heard you correctly, that Brattleboro, as far as statistics go, with sexual assault, is not experiencing more. It's just kind of
Yes, it's staying the same. They released this statement because it was such an unusual sexual assault, and they're really investigating it because it there was two of them, and it happened in similar periods of time. So they're not saying that it's linked, but I think that it's something that they're investigating, and they just wanted people to be aware because this is something that's unusual that's happening.
right. And I believe I don't know if Shari said this to you in your interview, but in a recent one I did with her, that most sexual assaults happen, it's not stranger danger,
Yeah.
it's from someone you know.
Exactly. So I have statistics here if I can find them. But yes, mostly it's by people you know. Yeah, 80% of sexual assaults are committed by people the victims know. And 50 of them, over 50%, do happen at a woman's home. But in those cases, it seems to be usually that the women are letting them in, or I don't know. It's by people they know, so it's a little easier to gain access.
Right, because there's a level, or there was a level of trust at some level.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Well, thank you for that, Harmony. Harmony and I will be back after your bottom of the hour news. Welcome back to Green Mountain Mornings on WKVT 100.3 FM and AM 1490. 38 degrees outside, 8:13 on the clock, and I am your host, Olga Peters. Welcome back, welcome back. So glad to have you all here on this chilly Halloween morning. I have Harmony Birch in the studio with me. She's from the Reformer. And so I take it the bodies have been transported to Burlington for an autopsy?
Yes, they have. So they're going to try and identify them because they don't know who these people were. I guess they could probably look from the license plates.
Mm-hmm.
But Yeah, and it's kind of awful too because when they were taking out they didn't know for a really long time that there were still people in there.
Oh, okay.
It's not confirmed yet whether they died during the initial explosion or if they were trapped in the house.
Mm-hmm.
So, it yeah, I don't know. There are a lot of unanswered questions going on and a lot of mystery and rumors surrounding the house itself. And it's just sad that we can't figure out who these people are.
Yeah, yeah, that they're the unknown in the equation at this point. And I know that I've heard rumors that it was a meth lab, but you have as yet have no proof.
We have no proof, and I personally, I like feel like it wasn't a meth lab. I don't know. I've never been around meth,
Mm-hmm.
but there wasn't like I was there while it was burning, and there wasn't any particular smells. I also have asked, I asked the assistant fire chief who I quoted in this article, and a couple of other people if they saw anyone going in later when the state fire investigators arrived with hazmat suits, and there haven't been any reports that I have found of that, at least.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I think that they would probably go in with hazmat suits if there was a dangerous chemical like meth, but it is fishy that it exploded. There aren't any reports that there was anything wrong with the propane tanks.
Mm-hmm.
I guess I don't really know enough about fires to speak as to, like, why something would just explode.
Right, right.
And there are a lot of circulation about possible drug use being in this house. But there's, again, nothing confirmed. All people have is the fact that there were cars coming in the middle of the night.
Right, right. Which could be a lot of other reasons
Yeah.
besides drug use. And I guess that's kind of the hard thing and sort of the sad thing about these folks who are unknown. It's so easy for the community, absent absolute evidence,
Hmm.
to just spin tales. I mean, it's human nature, it's what we do. But it is sad that we could be telling tales out of school about these people who have passed away
Yeah.
without evidence. So,
It is very sad. Um, I don't know.
so you'll be looking into it later today.
Yes, later today I will call up all my sources again and try and get an update
Mm-hmm.
because I have been off for 2 days. And I don't think that there is anything to update on because I'm sure that the other staff has probably been working on it too, and I haven't seen the updates, so
Mhm.
we'll check in.
Yeah, that's the interesting thing about covering an incident like this is because there's the initial breaking news,
Yeah.
but then there's that waiting period while the officials go through and actually gather their evidence and figure out what happened.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
So tell me something. There's something in Bellows Falls. You have new
Oh.
news in Bellows Falls.
Yeah, so the Bellows Falls trustee board meeting happened last week, and I always like to go because Bellows Falls always has some sort of news to report on. And they went over the 2018 fiscal year budget, which is kind of late because they were supposed to have passed that around May, and there were all these sorts of budget concerns that I think most people are aware of. But to just kind of give a recap, their initial budget passed, and then there was a petition.
Special referendum petition.
Yes, a
Yep.
special referendum to pass a new budget. And voters met again, and more people came out that time, and they ended up cutting something around 200,000 off of the initial budget. So since then, the trustees have just been trying to catch up.
Mm-hmm.
And they initially cut the fire department, all the full-time staff in the fire department. And now they're trying to figure out where to get the rest of that 200,000 because that made up a big chunk, but not all of it. So they looked over this budget, and it's hard with budgets because you can never really quite predict what's going to happen, but it's pretty much like it just makes the mark. And municipal manager Shane O'Keefe made it with a couple of his staff, and they kind of just cut away at certain things. But one of the interesting things that I think the community will also find interesting is that there weren't any staff cuts made to the Bellows Falls Police Department. Now, saying that, on their initial budget, they had proposed to add a 10th officer for safety reasons. because most officers there should be at least 2 officers on at all times,
Right. Yeah.
in case anything bad happens, and just so you have backup. So that might not always be the case now. They currently have 9 officers, but they are not cutting any more officers from that. They also forgo doing new equipment stuff and things like that. So nothing. The Bellows Falls Police isn't gaining anything. And some people could argue they probably should gain something, but there's also not any staffing cuts made to them either.
Mm-hmm.
And the community, has mixed reactions to this fire department cutting business. So I thought that was an interesting thing, because a lot of people are like, well, what are you doing to the police department?
Right. Well, and I think the first time you and I spoke about this issue, it was after they had voted to make cuts to the fire department. And you pointed out a good thing to keep in mind is that the Bellows Falls trustees really have very little control over huge portions of their budget. It's really the emergency services, if I remember you correctly, that they have the most control over.
Well, yes. So that's the thing is with Bellows Falls, it's really the emergency services that is their budget, because Bellows Falls is a village within Rockingham.
Mm-hmm.
So Bellows Falls residents pay the Rockingham taxes, which is what mine and yours, our taxes all kind of go to the town of Brattleboro.
Mm-hmm.
And so they pay for all of those services, but then they pay the Rockingham is a volunteer fire department, and they also don't have a police department. So Bellows Falls residents pay additional taxes for that, and then they also pay taxes for a water system. But that's a little bit different, and I'm not going to speak too much on it because I'm not sure I fully understand it, but it's just harder to cut, and it's different. And but the majority of what they pay for tends to be the emergency services. So that's really all they have to cut from. And there isn't a lot of money in their fund balance. So when voters voted to take off that $200,000 something, they're only getting so much in with taxes, and they can't supplement any of those emergency services from anything in their backup in their savings account, because there's not really much there.
Understand. Well, thank you, Harmony. That's all the time we have for right now.
Sorry.
Oh, no, are you kidding? This is all wonderful information. I really appreciate it. There's no sorry necessary. Want to wish everyone a happy Halloween. I hope you have fun handing out chocolate to the kiddos tonight. Yay! And because you were saying you are going to go buy some candy for tonight.
Yes, I think so. We'll see.
We'll see. We'll see.
I'll buy candy just in case.
Just in case. Yes. And if they don't come by, then
I get
you've
to
got
eat
candy. It's a pretty good deal.